Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Unplugged. It's a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure to be here. And we're still in our still very well made in Nigeria series. And I'll tell you that this series has taken on a life of its own. It's just been amazing what we have come to discover about Nigerians. And I tell you, listen, don't believe the press. Okay, you can believe some of it, but don't believe all the press because there are some Nigerians who are totally devoted to doing excellent things in the country, and one of them is our guest today. I'm sure everybody likes chocolate. So we're going to hear a lot more about I like to call her the chocolate lady, but I'm sure she'll tell you a lot more about herself. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Hey, Yasin, thank you for joining. You're our first guest today, and that should get you a gift sometime soon, but we'll post that in the details. Please, if you haven't liked our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Instagram page, please like, please share, please, especially for YouTube. Like I said, we have a lot of resources there on YouTube, and you'll be amazed what you can get from there, especially for small businesses. Oh no, Jules, you're not the first, but welcome. It's in beats you to it. Welcome, welcome. I hope that you and Uzomaka are going to have a synergy because she is doing chocolate and you do chocolate. I actually think I spoke to you about her, but I didn't tell you it was her. About chocolate nibs, and you gave me I think a master class or boot camp about the kind of chocolate that bakers need. Welcome, welcome everyone. We'll have a little announcement a bit later on, but for today, we're going to go straight into introducing our guests. Our guest today is Uzo Igweikwe. Okay, I'm going to ask her to. I'm sure I just murdered her name, and I hate doing that. Igweikwe. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. She's the founder of Loom Craft Chocolate. Loom Craft Chocolate is a cocoa bean processing company based in Abuja, Nigeria. Uzomaka is on a mission to create wealth and well-being using local and sustainable materials and processes. And she's focused on adding value to Nigerian cocoa and other Nigerian produce. She's not just about making world-class products, she's about creating jobs and supporting other local businesses to achieve the objective of economic self-reliance for her community and her family, and I believe other families. So join me to welcome Uzomaka, who will now correct me about her surname.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning, ma'am.
morning.
How are you
Good
doing?
morning.
You
I'm
didn't do
doing very
badly at
well.
all. You didn't do badly at all. But it's pronounced Igweike.
Igweike. Okay, fine. Igweike. Okay,
Igweike, yes. Yes.
okay. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you very much. And I see the person who introduced
Thank you for
us,
having me.
Ime Amadi, is online as well. So Ime,
Shout out
thank
to
you for
me.
joining.
Nani.
So let's start off at the question that everybody would like to know.
Okay.
Why chocolate? What got you into that business?
Okay. First of all, I'll start off by saying that the story isn't that dramatic, right? When you meet a lot of entrepreneurs, they have some very inspiring sounding story, you know, starting with 2 naira and then making 1 billion naira. It's nothing like that. It's just, and I mean, I didn't set out to become an entrepreneur. I didn't specifically pick chocolate. It wasn't shown to me in a vision or anything. It started out basically as a need for chocolate for my own personal use. So I was working in tech, and I also had a side business, as with most Nigerian women. I mean, we're not just satisfied with our 9 to 5. We're always looking for that little extra, even if it's not for the income, just for as a hobby, basically. And I'd always been baking, and I found it extremely hard to find good quality chocolate. And I had this thought nagging, in my mind. We're one of the largest producers of cocoa in the world, and I knew that cocoa was the main ingredient in chocolate. So it was a bit baffling, why we didn't have any chocolate being produced in Nigeria. And that's how it started, really. And I just went to online, on Google, how to make chocolate at home. In my mind, I was like, getting the raw materials is not a big deal. I can get the raw materials, but how do I make chocolate if I have all the raw materials? And I combined like 1,001 articles, and the I was lucky enough to happen on Craft Chocolate, because when you think about chocolate making companies, right, you imagine some large corporation, some gigantic enterprise. But I was lucky enough that the craft chocolate movement around the world was some sort of at its peak, right? It was rising, and there were a lot of articles there. And craft chocolate is all about making chocolate with simple, wholesome ingredients. And it simplified everything for me, because if you take a look at a pack of candy, for example, you look at the ingredients and you give up immediately, because you I can't do this. Where am I going to get dioxychloro, whatever, ingredients that you can't pronounce? So you give up. But with craft chocolate, everything seems within reach. Like, you can do this. Cocoa beans, sugar. I mean, the most basic bar of chocolate is made with cocoa bean and sugar. And it doesn't necessarily need to be sugar. Any sweetener at all that is dry would work. So I happened upon all those articles. I did a lot of reading, a lot of research. I was like, okay, I need this equipment, this tool. I can improvise with this. But the one thing I couldn't improvise with was the actual grinder, right? That actually refines the cocoa beans into the smooth chocolate that we are used to. And that doesn't mean you can't make chocolate with your blender. I mean, if you mean to, you can actually just blend it up. It will be coarse, it will be rustic, but it will still be edible chocolate, right? So, and at that point, Tony Elumelu Foundation was really popular. And I was like, this is a good idea. They may be interested. Why don't you pitch it? And that's exactly what I did. I pitched the idea because I had to bring up a business idea, not because I had planned to do it, to make chocolate as a business, but because I needed funding to to support this hobby. So I pitched it as a business idea, and they were so wowed by it. In fact, they called me and asked to do an interview, that my own application stood out from the others, and they really wanted to interview me to know more. So, and that gave me confidence. I'm like, okay, it didn't start out as a business idea, but these people who are experts, who know what they're doing, feel that, it's something viable. They want to know more. They're interested to know how I can, take this further. And that's how I started, basically. So with the grant money, I was able to buy my first refiner. I bought my cocoa butter press. In fact, tabletop equipment, and even as we speak, I'm still using tabletop equipment for my business. So it wasn't anything dramatic. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was just a string of, should I say, fortunate events, and the rest is history, as we say. Yeah. So that's how I got into it, right? A need for good chocolate for my baking. And then, when I started, it expanded into replacing, the or making chocolate available, as a country that produces cocoa, making chocolate available. And then it has also, should I say, metamorphosed into so many different things. And I guess maybe you will ask the question before I take over the interview.
Oh no, that's fine. If I don't answer the first question, feel free to jump in.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to just repeat what you've said. Sorry, there seems to be an echo. Let me see what's happening. Can you hear me without this?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me look for another one. There seems to be an echo in this
Okay.
one. Okay, is this better?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay,
No
there's an
echoes
echo on my
whatsoever.
end. Okay, there's an echo on my end. I don't know why. But we move.
Okay.
So that's our slogan in Nigeria. We move no matter what. Okay, so you said it's a series of fortunate events which are called serendipity. But I think it's important that we don't minimize the fact that you had a need. You know, you were actually on one direction, which was baking, and you had a need for chocolate, and you did the research. I am amplifying this because our primary focus for unplugged SMEs, and it's important that people know when they're starting businesses that whether you came by it by chance or on purpose, that you really have to know the business you're in. You need to do the research. You need to do the hard work. So you did the hard work of finding out, yeah, okay, don't get intimidated by the fact that you're not a Cadbury or anything. Or maybe I shouldn't have mentioned their name. You know, don't get intimidated by that. Go for what you want and then put yourself out there. Our guest last week, we didn't have time. She's on the program right now, but we didn't have time to discuss that. But she also went into a lot of competitions, you know, and put herself out there. So it's important to put yourself out. You know, I think I'm not. I know you're not minimizing it, but I'm repeating it and reiterating it so that people will know that you can have a good product, but let people know about it. Let people know, and don't be afraid to go for competitions. Don't be afraid to ask different questions. You know, I find it really interesting. I mean, I didn't know
Absolutely.
what craft chocolate was. I thought it was maybe, like you said, a more rustic kind of chocolate. But what is the main difference between craft chocolate and what's the other type called?
Oh well, I don't think the other type deserves a name, but well, maybe you can call it regular chocolate.
Okay. Well, why would you say that?
I mean, when you eat good chocolate, right? The difference is so stark. I mean, you can't, sometimes I go to supermarkets, I just pick up one of the regular bars just to try and compare. And I'm like, no, 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 this is not it. It's not it. So, I mean, you ask what the difference is. The difference is in the quality of ingredients, really. You're not cutting corners on, the quality of your ingredients. You're paying attention. You don't just put it in a machine and walk away, right? You're paying attention to the flavors, you're paying attention to the notes in the cocoa beans, and you're pairing it with inclusions that will give the consumer the best experience possible. So you're mindful about every step of the process, right? You're not just putting ingredients together and then, selling whatever comes out. It's in high quality ingredients, it's in the attention and care. It's an art, basically. So when you say craft chocolate, it's a perfect description of what we do, right? We don't just put recipes together and send out. I mean, you could have a particular recipe and you find that that recipe works just for a particular origin, beans from a particular place. Because cocoa beans, even in Nigeria, maybe cocoa beans grown in 2 different regions in Nigeria, they taste and smell completely different. So if you're sending out a bar of 70% dark, for example, a bar of dark chocolate from, let's say, Omo Ijesha in Osun State, it tastes completely different from what it is with a bar from Ondo State, for example. And the artistry and adjusting your recipe, you get your consumer the best possible experience. So with this one, you get notes of palm oil and groundnuts. With this one, you get notes of cola nuts and African walnuts. And, you know, it all makes for more conscious eating, more enjoyable eating. And, you know, that's the core of craft chocolate, basically. High quality ingredients, attention to process. So, but with the other kind of chocolate, you know what they do? They mix up beans from different origin, rich, but that's not what we do. So we pay attention to what goes into the chocolate, yeah. And so many other things. I mean, you talk about ethical sourcing, making sure that the farmers that you're sourcing from are paid fairly. You're not going to be paying them peanuts because they're doing a lot of the work. I mean, where we start is like in the middle of the process. The flavors and the final taste of the chocolate is mean largely by the fermentation process, fermentation and drying, which is what happens over with the farmers. So you can't underestimate their work. You can't, should I say, belittle their work or ignore their own contributions. And the way that you show appreciation is making sure they are paid fairly and they are paid on time. So things like that are important. Your packaging, how are you sourcing your packaging? Are you using recyclable materials? Are you sourcing locally? Sourcing locally, you would hear me repeat it so many times because it's important to us. It's like one of the values that our business is anchored on. It has to be sustainable. Everything has to be locally sourced as much as possible. In some cases, like with our equipment, for example, there's nothing we can do about that for now. We have to import the equipment, but we are taking steps, right, to see how we can fabricate those equipment in Nigeria as well. So that's the difference between craft chocolate and that which has no name.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Okay, we shall not talk about that which we will not mention again. You know, is this the questions we have this the comment section is already buzzing. So we have a question here from Juliet, who is a master baker, if I dare say so. She asks, is craft chocolate the same as Curvature chocolate?
Okay, Curvature is, it describes basically the amount of cocoa butter in your chocolate, right? That's what differentiates Curvature from maybe eating chocolate or compound chocolate. So Curvature is what is used by most chocolatiers. So there's a difference between being a chocolate maker and being a chocolatier. So a chocolatier will make chocolates, will take chocolate that has been maybe produced by a chocolate maker. We are chocolate makers. So chocolatiers use the output from our processes and create confectionery. You would have the bonbons, the truffles, and other desserts. So Curvature chocolate is basically chocolate that has a really high amount of cocoa butter, maybe between 38 and 42% cocoa butter, so that when the chocolatiers are working with it, it's easy, right? They can coat their confections, the chocolate is fluid, and it's really high quality chocolate because cocoa butter is really, it's one of the most expensive fats that you can use in chocolate, right? It's premium fat. So it's more expensive, and yeah, it's made with the chocolatiers in mind. So Curvature is not necessarily craft chocolate, but it defines the amount of fat that you have in the chocolate. You can have Curvature that is craft chocolate and Curvature that is not craft chocolate.
Okay, is craft chocolate artisanal also called chocolate? Okay.
You broke off a bit, but I heard artisanal chocolate. Yes, that's what it
Yes.
is.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to just stay with the comments for now. I like that you mentioned ethical sourcing,
Okay.
especially now. Are you a member of the Fair Trade Alliance?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I don't even know there's any area for fair trade. What I do is I source directly from the farmers. So I don't go through third parties. I go to the farms, and I speak to the farmers, and I get to know, okay, what is fair? What do you want? I don't even say what is fair compensation. I don't ask that question. Just how much do you want for your cocoa? No arguments. And a lot of people get the impression that because we produce a lot of cocoa, it means we have access to lots of cocoa, and a large amount of cocoa, free for all and very cheap. But that's not it. That's not correct. We need to source for good cocoa, not just cocoa that is maybe fermented and dried as the farmer pleases. And sourcing for good cocoa, that's where the work lies. It involves a lot of experimentation, a lot of testing, because you have to buy samples from so many places. And the cost of all these things doesn't go into the chocolate. It's cost of the research, and it's cost of the cost of delivering good quality products. So when you do get to farms that know what they're doing, that are fermenting and drying properly, you need to pay them for the work they put into it. I mean, meanwhile, typically for the type of beans we produce in Nigeria, you must ferment for 6 days. But because the farmers are in a rush to ferment and dry their cocoa so that they can get, cash from sales, they don't put in the time that is required to produce good quality, right? So imagine you are able to do 1 ton in 1 day, right? Compare that to somebody who is doing 1 ton in 6 days. The person who is doing 1 ton in 6 days is going to get better quality cocoa, but will probably not sell as much as you, who at the end of 6 days would have 6 tons to sell. But then again, he has put in the work, he has put in the time, and his cocoa is of higher quality and will command a higher price. So these are the farmers that we search out, and we have to pay them for the love that they show the cocoa, for the work that they've put into the cocoa. So the cocoa we, as craft chocolate makers, get is not the same as the cheap cocoa that is sold to, big corporation or big chocolate, as they call it.
Oh. So much to know, so much to learn.
Absolutely.
What I hear you say really is that a lot of work lies in R&D and experimentation. I heard you talk about different notes, palm oil could come through, groundnuts could come through, that kind of thing. How do you check to see which ones are popular with people, which ones people like, or do you just push it into the market, or do you have a process where you check?
Okay, for now, we don't necessarily have a process where we check which one is more popular. I think we're at that stage where most of everything we put out, right, is being compared with what's in the market, and people just absolutely love it, right? So we've not gotten to the point where, okay, people want to differentiate between a 70% from Oda and a 70% from Omo Ijesha. They're just happy to experience the difference. They're happy to experience the really good quality. So we do not have a means. And also another thing is, since we sell mostly through supermarkets, we rarely ever get to talk one-on-one with our customers, except at fairs, right? So when we do fairs, trade shows, we try to attend as much of those as possible so that we can talk to the people that are actually eating the chocolate. And then we also include like what we have called tasting notes inside our packs as well, so that we encourage tell people more about the origins of the chocolate, right? More about the notes that they should expect when they're eating the chocolate. And we also invite them to mail us, to call us, ask any questions, and they do. But they're not saying, when they do call, they're not saying, okay, I want to see more of Oda, I want to see more of this other kind of chocolate. They're just saying, this is great, this is delicious, this is different. You get, so we don't really have any mechanism to determine, which is more popular. But I mean, with time, we will get there. Right now, our packaging is really generic. It's just for our dark chocolate, for example, it just says 70% chocolate. You only get to know when you open the bars and you see what the original, where the cocoa was made. But one thing that we can guarantee is that anytime you open up any one of our bars, you're getting the best possible from that origin.
Okay, we have another question here. Do you source from Cross River?
I have actually sourced from 3 different places in Cross River, but I haven't really found really good beans from Cross River. And that's not saying that we don't have good beans in Cross River. It's just saying that I haven't found the farmer yet. But we're looking to it. Most of our exploration for this year was kind of stifled because we're not traveling so much due to the pandemic, the insecurity in the country. We're not traveling as much. And the farms in Cross River, they are really remote. So it's difficult. You don't even get, let's say, a transportation coming directly from those areas to Abuja, to where I stay, right? So it's extremely difficult. And the best thing for us is to actually go there to Cross River State, because I've heard a lot about Cross River beans, right? They say they have really one of the best beans in Nigeria. And I actually plan to make time out there, spend a month or so looking at the beans and trying to, find a really good source. But unfortunately, for now, I haven't been lucky with beans from Cross River State.
Okay, well, as long as you're sourcing from Nigeria, we are happy. We are happy. So, question from me.
Okay.
Are you still in the baking field somehow? Or have you left that completely?
I've had to leave it completely. I've had to leave it. I wound down the business earlier this year. I still did I baked a couple of cakes for some family members that said that I must bake. I did that, but I have had to wind down completely. If I'm baking, it can't be commercially, just for for consumption in-house. And maybe, of course, we use some of our cookies.
Okay. Sorry, go
ahead.
No, you go ahead. I want to hear about cookies. I love cookies.
I was saying that we have these inclusion bars that, chocolate chip cookies, gingerbread cookies, that's the type of baking we do now. Baking for outlets, yes, for our inclusion bars.
Why are they called inclusion bars?
Because we are including foreign material.
Ah.
We're including non-cocoa, yes. But some people argue, right? Some very can't argue that the moment you put sugar in inclusion bar, because sugar is not derived from the cocoa plant, but we use the term very loosely to mean anything that is not cocoa, sugar, or milk.
I have 3 questions. Well, let me first of all show this. Geraldine, full disclosure, that's my sister, you know. So Geraldine says, when you're ready to come to Cross River, please let me know and I'll see how I can help. I can hook you guys up if and when you're ready.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll take you up on that. Don't be surprised when I come knocking.
She's ready, trust me. Then Chinyelu says, when will you start taking interns? I suspect this is a conversation that you guys started some time ago. So please answer her. When will you start taking interns?
Ask me again next year.
Now, is that early next year or mid next year?
Ask me in Q2, anytime from April.
Okay, Chinyelu, you have your answer. Q2 from April. And we have a question from Queen Amadi, Queen Amadi. What challenges are you facing with scaling your business, especially in a global pandemic? Well, first of all, are you scaling your business? Tell us how you've scaled your business, and then let's speak to the challenges. That's an excellent question. Thank you, Queen.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yes, we are scaling our business. I mean, we started we started working with just one refiner, and we were doing about 500 bars a month. But currently, we're able to do up to 4,000 bars a month if we work at full capacity. So yes, we are scaling, and the idea is to keep on scaling until Nigerians claim some market share of the chocolate that is consumed annually in Nigeria. It's worth $31 billion. That's the worth of chocolate consumed. $31 million, I'm sorry. So it's a lot of chocolate consumed in Nigeria.
Wow.
And yes, and zero market share belongs to Nigerian companies. So I mean, it gives me an opportunity to talk about how, our business is not necessarily about chocolate. Chocolate is just a means to an end, right? We talk about economic self-reliance, right? We talk about economic independence. That's what we're truly after. It's not just about chocolate, because really we can import all the chocolate in the world. Somebody goes to the supermarket, most people won't even bother themselves about where it's coming from. They just grab a bar of chocolate and they go their way. But we are trying to use the resources that we have in Nigeria to create economic value for us, being Nigerians, for our community, the Nigerian community. That's what we are trying to do. So it's not necessarily about chocolate. So yes, we must scale to reach that economic viability, to start making real income scale, and we work towards scaling, I mean, every day. And the challenges, right, beyond the obvious funding, right, because every business, every small business, you have that as a serious challenge, because to expand, it means you need cash to buy bigger equipment, to maybe get a bigger place, a bigger production space to buy more raw materials. And these type of investments into expansion, they are not revenue generating. So if you decide to rent a bigger factory, for example, and it costs you 2 million per year, you put in 2 million, you're going to get profit from that 2 million, because that 2 million is already like, should I say, some costs.
These are some costs.
So it's a big challenge, because you now, yes, you have to reach outside of the business to fund your daily operations, right? To make sure that your cash flow is stable. So apart from funding, one of the challenges that we face is power, electricity, because chocolate actually does consume a lot of electricity, because your machines have to run continuously to get that finished product. And so it's a nightmare. So we have to generate a lot of, more than half of the power we use, we have to generate it. And that's a lot of money. It speaks back to funding. But I mean, if we had the infrastructure, it wouldn't be the challenge that it is. The distribution is such a nightmare. As Queen asked, she referred to the pandemic. The pandemic means that you're not able to interact, you're not able to do person-to-person sales, right? Most people just want to run into the supermarket, grab all they need and go. Everybody is more indoors, everything is done remotely. So we don't have a retail space, for example, because it doesn't make sense to have a retail space, right? What makes sense is actually stocking with established stores that have shelf space that they can loan us. So I mean, distribution is a nightmare, because we don't have the infrastructure to transport temperature sensitive materials on the go. So that's a big challenge for us. So we're not able to move our products from Abuja to other parts of the country with the confidence that they won't melt. And chocolate, once it's exposed to too much heat, it's ruined. Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean that these challenges are not being overcome, right? You are also working with some distribution companies that have started to offer services for cold storage. So they transport your chocolate across the country in cooling vans. But there's still a challenge for like door-to-door deliveries, because we're also trying to expand our retail, and it's very difficult, because you don't expect, God is good, for example, to put an ice pack on every single delivery that you have to. But we that's one thing I love our team for, right? We're not faced by any challenge. We expect challenges to come, and our jobs, and it's not just making chocolate, our job is functions to these problems, to these challenges. So yes, we have power, we have distribution, and then we also have there's a serious lack of knowledge on so many fronts. For us as newcomers to business, relative newcomers to business, we talk about wanting to export, and wanting to distribute more, to send to the US, all African products on the shelves everywhere. But there's a huge learning curve, and we have a lot of experience to gather, a lot of learning to do to be able to navigate that path. Then also, because the chocolate making industry is relatively new in Nigeria, you can't just go and hire a chocolate maker off the street. That everybody you're hiring has to be trained, and that's like a big challenge for us as well, even though we intend to keep our team as lean as possible. But still, you need to have, for the size that we're looking at, you need to have a decent team of even up to 20. So when hiring, you can be sure that you have a lot of investing to do in knowledge acquisition, basically, because it's completely new. You have to teach everybody how to do everything from scratch. So I mean, those are the major challenges that we face, and not that we're complaining. We're not complaining at all. That's why we're here. To solve problems, right? To tackle the challenges, yes.
Okay, we have a whole slew of more questions. And let me, some are comments.
Okay.
Imabasi says, I love this. I remember going to Ghana and tasting their local chocolate. It was okay. I've tasted Ghanaian chocolate and I think it's a bit more than okay. It's nice, you know. It's quite nice.
I agree with you. I love the golden tree. Even the golden tree chocolate, the ones they sell, they hawk on the highways in Accra, on
On
the
the
streets
street,
in Accra.
yeah.
I love golden tree. Yes, I haven't really had craft chocolate from Ghana, but I know that there are a lot of craft chocolate makers in Ghana. But even the regular bars that they sell, that's widely available. It's really good. It's more than just okay.
Yeah, yeah. So another question from Juliet. She says, where can we find your chocolates in Lagos? And do you package wholesale for bakers?
Okay, so for now, we have SPAR as one of the stockists. So if you go to all the SPAR branches nationwide, not just in Lagos, you would find our bars unless that particular store is out of stock. Then we also have Market Square in Isolo. Those are the two supermarkets where we're stocked at in Lagos, but that is going to change in the coming couple of months because we've partnered with a distributor in Lagos that will help us push it to other stores. And yes, for wholesale for bakers, yes, we do. We make the large 1 kg blocks, but only on request. We don't stock those. So if you want a 1 kg block, a 2 kg block, any 100 kg block, we will make it specifically for you. So we actually do supply restaurants in Abuja with Curvature, and they use that to make their own desserts and confectionery for their for their hotels and for their restaurants. So the answer to your question is yes, we do.
Okay, she has a follow-up question, comment. You can use Plendify, which is a virtual B2B, business-to-business marketplace platform to help your brand in cross-border distribution and sales. Did you know about Plendify?
Plendify, no, I haven't heard of that before, but I'm noting it, and yes, I will check it out. Thank you very much.
Okay. We have another one for, okay, ACN had asked, if your chocolate is available in England, and if not, when will it be available in England?
Unfortunately, not at the moment, but we are working towards it, and I don't want to give a timeline, but definitely next year. We're working towards exportation. I mean, exportation is not just, having your chocolate maybe on your website and having people order from your website. For it to make business sense, basically, you need to find a way to ship your chocolate in bulk and have it stocked on the shelves as well, because it's so much more expensive for the consumer to buy from your website and transport all the way to England. I mean, DHL costs, FedEx costs, they are really, really high. I've actually tried it, and that was one of the things that discouraged us at first. But when we say we want to export, we're not just talking about 1 or 2 sales via the website. We actually want to be able to stock the shelves in the UK, in the US, anywhere outside of Nigeria, all of Africa. That's what we want to do, and that's what we're working towards. And for that to happen, right, you have a bunch of certifications you need to acquire. Also, you have to work hand in hand with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and we've already started that work. But I don't know how long it's going to take. That's why I don't want to commit to anything, but it's something that we're actively pursuing. So very soon, our chocolate will be available in England.
Well, we hope you're going to flood Nigeria first before England, because
exactly,
they would like to see you
we
in
have to flood
Nigeria in
Nigeria
all
first.
parts.
Yes. Yes, Nigeria is the priority, then Africa, then outside of Africa. Yeah.
Okay, we have two questions from Pagabi. Hi, Pagabi, welcome. She says, sorry I'm late to the party, but what is the unique selling point of your chocolates?
Oh, the unique selling point. Are you an investor? Okay, so
She may
our chocolate
be.
is our chocolate is beyond chocolate. We go beyond the making and the eating of chocolate. What we are about is economic independence, economic self-reliance for our community, for Nigerians, for Nigeria basically. So I mean, I was in a pitch. I was pitching to a group of investors, and after my pitch, I always try to make people understand that this is beyond chocolate. What we're doing is local. What we're doing is sustainable. We're not just creating products. We're not just creating great chocolate. Our chocolate, first of all, of course, it has to start by being delicious. It has to start by being good looking, great tasting. We have that on lockdown. But beyond that, what we are doing is creating jobs, both directly and indirectly. All the people that work, everybody in my team currently, we didn't have a job before we started this company. We did not have anything we were doing. So that's eight. Right now, the count is 8 new jobs added to the market, right? 8 sounds small,
Wow.
but this is 8 people and 8 families, 8 different families being sustained by this business. Let's not talk about direct job opportunities. We say that we revive industries deliberately, right? By using locally grown and locally produced ingredients in our chocolate. The example that I'm particularly proud of is the sugar cane, right? So because our values, what we anchor our values on is local and sustainable. We're looking for ways. Okay, we know that the cocoa beans that we have, is sourced from Nigeria. We are directly impacting farmers' lives. What of the sugar that we use? This is how we look at our ingredients and our processes. What of the sugar we use? Where is that sourced from? Ultimately, all the sugar we consume in Nigeria is imported, whether we like it or not. And so what we've done is partner with a local farmer, a local sugarcane farmer, to help us produce in bulk what they call jaggery, and we'll further process it to a point where we can use it in our chocolate. That's like income guaranteed for that farmer. In fact, based on the discussions, she will not be able to supply all our needs for the entire year. So, but we've given her a reason to farm sugarcane because she knows that once she's able to produce whatever amount she produces, it's going to be bought up by the Faith and Play Company or by Loom Craft Chocolate. So we're reviving industries, we're creating direct jobs, we're creating indirect jobs, we're supporting other local businesses as well. So when we say we use inclusions, we don't go and import the inclusion. First of all, it doesn't align with our values. Second of all, it's not sustainable. And I'll tell you more about that. So when I say we're supporting local business, the cashews we use, we buy them from a local processor. The mango powder, the dried mango, we buy them from a local business around us as well. The sesame seed, a local business supplies our sesame seed. So we are encouraging these people to keep on doing what they are doing by patronizing them. Talk about our packaging materials, for example. The foil, which is the primary packaging that we use for our chocolate, right? Typically, most chocolate makers will import pre-cut foil, but it doesn't align with our values. So what do? We take normal foil that we buy here in Nigeria and we cut it up, and that's what we use, right? Take our packaging, for example. It's designed and printed here in Nigeria. People say it's cheaper for you to buy packaging outside of Nigeria and the quality will look better. I'm like, anything outside of Nigeria, we're not having that conversation. So what we do with our printer is we fight with him every time. But after that fight, the next run of print is better. So we are putting them under pressure to do better. Very soon, you look at our packaging, you will not be able to differentiate between, our packaging and what is imported, because we've motivated our local producers to do better. If we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it, and we keep importing. So for now, we are making the sacrifices. If our fall paper is going to look jagged, not straight, guys, we have to deal with it. That's what we are producing here. If our packaging is not aligned, if the picture is not sharp, guys, that is what we are producing. We have to do better, right? The onus is on us. The burden is on us. And we are sacrificing our brand. We're sacrificing the way our products look to get to that point. So our unique selling point basically is that we're local, we're sustainable, we're doing good.
Absolutely. I couldn't add anything more to that. But I have a question. There's a time I watched. I think I read something about chocolates in Cote d'Ivoire and the cartels, and the many interests, some local, some foreign, that would militate against this economic empowerment you have in mind. Have you found yourself coming up against these kind of interest groups?
So for now, I lost you a bit.
Okay, should I repeat myself?
Yes, please. I lost you for the last 10 seconds or so.
Okay. I read a little bit about Cote d'Ivoire and the issues they have with fair pay for chocolate farmers, the indigenous chocolate farmers, and it has a lot to do with France, etc., and their interests that they have there. So I'm also linking that to your desire to have not only ethical company focused on excellence, but also supporting economic self-reliance. And my question is, have you come up against any of these interest groups that would push back against what you're trying to do with
Okay.
Loom Chocolate?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I would say maybe because we're still under the radar, we're still small, and the amount of cocoa we're processing is probably not significant enough yet. So no, we haven't had any should I say encounter with any of these kind of interest groups. And I also think that the experience in Cote d'Ivoire will be slightly different from what you have in Nigeria. First of all, Nigeria is Anglophone, and also we produce much less cocoa than Cote d'Ivoire does, right? So maybe we produce maybe a fifth or less of what Cote d'Ivoire does. So Cote d'Ivoire is the largest producer of cocoa in the world, and by far. So maybe most of these vultures will be, should I say, focused on Cote d'Ivoire for now. And even if they're in Nigeria, we're not doing the kind of way attract attention to us just yet. But we need to get prepared, I guess.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, because you get to a point where other people are looking at you and say, "How did they get fly under the radar so well?" So
So long.
there's still many questions and comments. Let me share this. Is the taste creamy? What is the taste? This is a definitely a chocolate lover.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a range of bars. In fact, we have 20 different flavors that you can choose from. Don't say we're crazy. Okay, maybe we're a little bit crazy, yes. But we have 20 different flavors you can choose from. And yes, it ranges from really, really creamy to just creamy, and then to the really, really intense chocolate flavors. So we have in the creamy range, we have our 40% milk bars. Then we also have our sweet vanilla coffee, which is such a hit. And then we have the fonio milk chocolate. Everybody says that one reminds them of chocolate milk when they were growing up. So it's not milk chocolate, they call
Oh,
it chocolate milk. And this is from a survey of over 10 tasters. Everybody independently reminds me of chocolate milk. So if you're looking for really good chocolate, we got you covered.
okay. So another comment. There's so many comments. We'll just take a few. So this is by way of advice and prepared to deal with the
Mhm.
various interest
Thank
groups. Being
you,
part of the Fair Trade
Imabasi.
Alliance. Yeah. Okay. And what I also want to ask is, are you part or are you thinking about? I know you've mentioned the Tony Lumelu Foundation, but what is your with this kind of vision you have? This is definitely not. I'm just doing chocolate. You are looking to make a significant impact on the economy. So, are you looking at being part of the economic summit? Are you looking to being in the room where matters of the economy are being discussed?
I would love that very much, right? I feel like I don't do enough to put myself and the business out there. But that is gradually changing. I mean, this is my first live ever. I've had Instagram for years and yet I've never done a live on Instagram before. And this is the first, you know, interview of this kind that I'm having. And I think I need to, speak up more, um, post more, tell the world more about, you know, the flip side of the business. What faces the customer most of the time, is the chocolate. We need to tell them about the impact behind the chocolate. What is the driving
Okay.
force behind our focus on cocoa and chocolate. So absolutely, I would love to be in the room, part of the conversations. And it will also help me steer the business in the right direction, because no matter how we feel about it, the policies that are discussed at this high level meetings and gatherings, they have a really big impact. On the impact trickles down, no matter how small your company is, you still feel the impact. So yes, I would love to be part of the conversations, and we're actively um, um, I'm actively trying to put myself and the business out there. In the beginning, it's a bit difficult because you're struggling to keep the business on its feet, to stay afloat, to keep your head above water. You want to put in processes in place to make sure that even when you're not there, things move as they should. And I think that we've spent the best part of this year doing all of that. We still have some ways to go, but we are a work in progress and we're making progress, certainly. But it's time for us to, be out there and in these more strategic discussions.
Okay. So, two things. I, I'd come from the branding perspective because that is where I sit. It's very important to brand, let people know what your brand looks like so that we can look out for it in the supermarkets. And also very important along with the branding is availability. So, the more you swamp the markets with your products, the more we can change our taste buds. Because I tell you, many people are looking for proudly Nigerian. We are looking for things to be proud of, and yours is one of them. Loom chocolate is one of them. So the availability, the promotion, the packaging, yes, we would be very, very
Mm.
excited to do that. I would also say, please, when we talk offline, and I'll follow you up on this, it is possible to get you into the room, at least in the economic summit. Let
Okay.
people hear first, but you have to be talking. And I'll suggest that you start talking on LinkedIn. Start talking on LinkedIn. Let people start hearing your voice. And I'm willing to look at what you have. Just send me a voice note. I'm willing to package it for you, and you post it. You know, I'm happy to do
Okay.
that. You know, yes.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
another.
That would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Somebody wants to know, another chocolate lover obviously wants to know where your chocolate is in Port Harcourt.
Okay. Okay, we are actually stocked in Next Cash and Carry in all the Market Square branches. I know some of them are out of stock at the moment, but they are being restocked as we speak. We're getting into everyday very soon. So Next Cash and Carry
Oh, yay.
and Market Square. Yes, you find us there. And then you can get some of our bars at Marley and Blue. It's a lovely
Okay, yeah, I know
little
Mali and Blue.
coffee shop in Port Harcourt. Let me not say
Yeah.
little, it's lovely. Yes, yes. You can get some of our bars from them as well.
Okay. Okay. And then we have Imabas is also offered to help. So you have two people there. We're ready to help three
Thank you
people.
so much.
Yeah. And I believe Jules is on her own
Okay.
end, ready to help as
Wonderful,
well.
wonderful.
Yeah. We are ready to amplify your voice and your market, you know. And Jerry says, please also seriously think about creating your own rooms and starting your own conversations, especially with MSMEs, a key economic sector that still doesn't have a sufficiently strong voice. I agree totally. That is perhaps for us also the next level for us to engage in that sector and start talking about depoliticizing it to a certain extent so that voices like yours, opinions like yours can be heard. And I think we need to hit people with facts and figures. And that's what business people
Okay.
understand. Yes, facts and figures, you know.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. I mean, instead of waiting for a room to go get into, I can create my own and then invite, other business owners like myself, other Nigerian brands like myself, and we can not. There's nothing stopping us from starting our own conversations. I completely agree with you.
So we have this initiative for Julia Jacks Consulting called the Very Well Made in Nigeria initiative, and we're still troubling it a little bit to see how that would look like. But we are it the sole purpose is, like you said, economic empowerment, because the ripple effect is immense. But we would want to start that conversation next year and have at the table and in the room people who don't just want to survive, they want to thrive in what they do, and they really have this ethical approach to business. So when we start putting that together, we're going to have a think tank. I'm going to invite all our guests in the Very Well Made in Nigeria series. We've had about 8 guests, and some other people who are branding, marketing,
Wonderful.
legal, political. Yeah, so we're going to do that. So, well, just like that, it's 1 hour,
You
and
can count me in.
oh, I'm gonna come drag you. I'm gonna come drag you. You know.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
it's 1 hour, and I'm sure. Do you guys have any more questions? Because I'm sure Uzo would not mind answering a few more questions or comments. We have comments from Adeku. Adeku, let me just show. She's proud of you, as we all are. Thank you, Adeku. And she will definitely look out for your products in Abuja. Thank you, Adeku. Yes, we need to
Thank you,
support those
Adeku.
farmers. I mean,
Thank
I
you so
mean,
much.
we need Adeku. We need her Uzo to make more money and stay in business. So Jerry says, so you're not in Calabar, so she'll look out for Loom chocolates when she's in Port Harcourt or Abuja, wherever you go. Yes.
Thank you so much.
And since I have your attention, guys, don't break off, don't break off, don't fall off. Please, please follow us on Instagram. I beg you guys every week. I don't have shame anymore. Please follow us. Follow her. I've put her. Oh well, you have this. Well, Uzo, she says. Julia says, like I said, she's a master baker, and she does so many incredible things. She says, let's hook up after this. I'm super proud of what you're doing. So I will send both of you each other's number if that's fine.
That's perfect. This is Chef Jules now, isn't it?
Yes, that's Chef Jules. That's Chef Jules. Oh yeah.
I have you've sent me her number before.
Ah,
I'll
okay,
reach
so
out to
please
her.
reach her. Reach her. Reach her. Okay, guys, so please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. I checked the YouTube channel. Okay, what do I have to do to make you guys follow us on YouTube? Just go back and see what you just tell me. I anything except dance. I'll do, you know. But every on all our handles so far, it's at Julia Jacks Consulting. Um, we'll get to type that in. Let me see. At Julia, I hope I'm not typing in caps. Consulting, yeah. On Facebook, IG, and YouTube. Okay, having said that, while I still have your attention too, for those of the unplugged community who are in Port Harcourt, we are holding something that we'll probably roll out next year to other parts of Nigeria and maybe the world. Hey, you know, and it's called the Life Spa. It's going to be a combination of fun and games because we've had a really rough year, a rough 2 years, fun and games, and then deep dive into to clear up whatever blockages we have in our minds, in our bodies. So just as you would go to a regular spa, this is a spa of your life. And for people who know me, you know that fun is one thing I do very well as serious. And for all of you on the JJC community, you're going to get a 25% discount. So go check our page, and we have we have a 20% discount, you know, for everybody on the Julia Jacks community. And once we figure out how to take it online, we're going to take it online. So those of you who are tech, okay, you are in tech. So those of you who are in tech, please, we'll probably look for how we'll work with you and create a learning platform, online learning platform, so we can reach more people. Pagabi wants to know what membership will be like for the Very Well Made in Nigeria group. Pagabi, we'll figure it out. She wants a slimming retreat. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So do I. So do I. Oh my word. Listen, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you because we can sit here forever and have fun. We can sit here forever and have fun. But we're gonna leave you now because we have to release Uzomaka to go and make some more great chocolate.
Make more
Okay, she wants
chocolate.
to know the stores where you can get your chocolates in Abuja. Please just repeat it because some people joined us halfway through. Just repeat it, so I'll just type it in the comment section.
Okay, H Medics, Grand Square,
Sorry? Could you
next
say that again?
Kashimari.
Okay, next.
H Medics, H Medics.
Which medics?
Yes, Grand Square.
Tell me if you can see this. If I'm spelling it right, is that correct? Grand Square.
I can't see it yet, but yes,
I'm not
Grand
okay. I have
and Square.
okay. Grand as in grand. Okay, Grand
Yes,
Square.
Grand Square,
Okay,
Market Spar,
okay.
Spar, Next, cash and carry. Fax, FAXX.
FAXX. Let me post this first.
Dune Center. Okay.
Okay, I know where
Yeah,
Dune is.
yeah, correct.
Yeah. Dune Center. Where else?
Dune Center. For you, that's Amigo, the former Amigo.
For you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then you find us in Skylark Pharmacies, all Skylark Pharmacies.
Okay, guys.
Then
check her
Market
out
Square
on
Abuja
her
as well is in Gwarimpa. Okay,
Market Square.
wonderful. That's
Market
fine.
Square.
I think these are the main ones. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Guys, follow her. I'm going to put her email, sorry, her IG handle. Okay. I'm going to put our own
Yep.
IG handle
Thank
as
you
well.
very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And regarding the live spa, if you're not in Port Harcourt, please check our flyer. We're going to post it on our page. It's already on our page, right? Yeah, it's already on our page. Please share the information with people you know that are in Port Harcourt. People you know that may need it. It's going to be intimate. We're going to make sure we comply with all the COVID. What are they called? All the COVID restrictions. Yes, we're going to make sure we comply with that. But it's a physical thing for now, and then we'll see how to protocols. Thank you. Yes, we'll see how we will escalate it to an online thing. So, Uzo, we could stay here. I don't know why I get paid for doing this. I turn up and I have fun. I have great fun. I get to know about people, what they do, get into their lives, and then they're going to do this great thing for Nigeria, and I'm just so excited about it. So, guys, I'm going to keep you informed, and thank you all for joining us today. It's been a really energetic, engaging conversation. And Uzomaka, what can I say? Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You've been absolutely
Thank you.
fabulous.
Thank you very
Please
much.
take me up
Thank
on
you for
everything
everybody
I've
that
offered.
joined. Thank you.
Yes. Take me up on all the offering,
I will.
everything we've offered. Yeah, that's what we're here for. So, guys,
Okay, I
until
will.
next week,
Thank you so
Thursday,
much.
thank you. Uzo. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.